Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Thank you guys so much for watching today's video. I hope you guys are doing well. I'm just getting over being sick, so I feel like I still sound a little bit off, but I'm feeling a lot better today. So I wanted to sit down and film a video. A few weeks ago, I did a video sharing the 20 best products from 20 drugstore brands, and it was so much fun to sit down and narrow it down to my top product from each brand. I'll link that video in the description box below if you guys want to check it out. It was a video idea originally created by Kelly Gooch, who I love, so I'll link her original video in the description box as well. But I thought it'd be fun to do a high-end version and share 20 best products from 20 brands that you can find at Sephora. So it was a lot of fun for me to just choose like my #1 product from each brand, and I've probably tried more than 20 brands at Sephora, but these are probably like the top brands that I wanted to share in today's video. Okay, let's start with Kosas. So Kosas is a brand that I think is really interesting. I love just like their marketing, their launches, everything kind of pulls me in. But the brand does tend to be a little bit hit and miss for me. When I try products, I either love them or I hate them. And I do feel like a lot of the products get a ton of hype, like their baked bronzer, their powder, also their foundation, but they don't always work for me. I will say I love their brow products, but my #1 product from the brand is a product that does get a lot of hype, but I think it's totally worth it. It is the concealer. This is such a gorgeous formula. It's very hydrating, very smoothing, but it has a good amount of coverage as well. Sometimes when it comes to hydrating concealers, I feel like they blend out to nothing or they instantly crease on me. This one is very smoothing and I feel like it stays in place really well, whether I'm using it under the eyes or as a spot concealer. I was so excited when they launched their foundation because I really thought that would work well for me, and that unfortunately just does not look good on my oily skin, but the concealer really does look amazing. It stays in place really well. I think the textures are very different. Like the foundation is really thin and it does look really glowy and beautiful, but it doesn't last, whereas the concealer stays in place all day long. So this is definitely my #1 Kosas product, but I have to say their brow products are really good too. So this year I've been trying a good amount of rare beauty products. When the brand initially launched, I didn't try a ton from the brand, and then the reviews started rolling out. They were getting a lot of hype. I tend to see them all over TikTok, so that definitely made me a little more interested in the brand. And in 2022, I've tried a good amount of products from them, and I'm definitely curious to try more. I really like their cream bronzer. I think that looks so pretty on the skin, especially for like an easy everyday makeup look. But I think my #1 product from the brand is their liquid blush. This is a little bit newer to my collection. I have the shade Hope. I just picked this up a few weeks ago, but it's really become just an instant favorite. After trying this out, I totally understand the hype. I've always been a little bit intimidated by liquid products because in the past when I've tried them and I've applied them to my skin, they just kind of stay in the same spot and they're hard to blend out and they look patchy and uneven, but that is not the case with this product. It is very blendable. It looks so pretty on the skin and it definitely lasts on the skin as well. So if you are typically intimidated by creams, I think you'll really like this. A little bit goes a super long way, so you really don't need a ton of product. But I am curious to try out some additional shades. I chose a shade that was kind of like a safe color for me, that wasn't too bright, too intense, and I really love it for everyday wear, but they have a ton of gorgeous colors. So I definitely understand the hype. I think that this is the #1 product that I've tried from the brand so far. But if you have any other recommendations, let me know because I'm definitely curious to try more. I think Buxom is probably most well known for their lip glosses, and that is definitely my #1 product from the brand. I almost mentioned the blushes because I do love the blushes so much. I think they are really underrated. But I think that their best product really would be their lip glosses. They have lip creams, which are a little bit more opaque and they don't have any shimmer in them. And then they also have lip polishes, which are more sheer and tend to have a good amount of shimmer in them. So you could go either way. I think that overall I tend to prefer the lip polishes. Today I'm wearing the shade Claire on top of a Bite Beauty lipstick, and I just love them. I think I purchased my first one over 10 years ago, and consistently throughout the years, I've repurchased them, I've added them to my collection because I just think they look so pretty on the lips. They're super shiny, they're really, really smooth, and I love that they have like that cooling, plumping feel to them. I think they look so good. What's nice about Buxom is they do release sets with minis throughout the year as well as around the holiday season. So you really don't have to pay, what is it, like $21 for a gloss, because you can usually get a set of minis for a little bit more or a similar price, which I think is a great option too because it gives you the chance to try out multiple shades. So Tower 28 doesn't have a ton of products at Sephora, but but there are products from them that I just love. Their lip glosses have become an absolute staple. I almost mentioned those, but I really think their #1 product would be their cream blush formula. They also have a cream bronzer and a cream highlighter, which I actually haven't tried. I should try those out now that I'm more into creams, but I love the Beach Please cream products. I have 2 shades. So I have Magic Hour, which is more of like my everyday neutral blush. And then I also have Power Hour, which is a little bit more dramatic. What's nice about this is you could use it on the lips, the cheeks. They said you can use them on the eyes as well, but for me, they do tend to crease on the eyes, but they last all day long on the cheeks. If you're looking for a very long-lasting cream blush, this is such a great option to try, but it also gives you like that gorgeous, dewy look. I'm a little bit newer to the brand Say, but pretty much everything I've tried from the brand I've really enjoyed. I love their mascara. I think it looks so pretty on the lashes. I also really like their glowy super gel as a base when I want my skin just to look a little more radiant. It's also nice to mix in with your foundation, but I think my #1 product from the brand that I've tried so far is their Hydra Beam Concealer. I really don't have another concealer like this in my collection. It really does give your skin such a glowy look. It makes your under eyes look really bright. It just kind of gives you like a highlighted appearance in a really pretty way. It's very easy to work with. It blends out really nicely. It's more of a light to like light medium coverage in my opinion. It's not something that I typically build up to look really intense on the eyes, but it's been perfect for the summertime because it just makes my under eyes look bright and glowy and just kind of makes my face look a little bit more awake overall. So I've been really impressed by this formula. I definitely want to try out more from the brand. I know they do like a skin tint that a lot of people enjoy, and there's a couple of other products that I've added to my wish list. There are cream bronzers on my list too. So I know Urban Decay gets a lot of heat these days because they do the same things over and over. They really have milked the Naked line for like 10 years at this point, and they tend to do a lot of neutral eyeshadows. And I know a lot of people miss their more colorful palettes, but I have to say, when you kind of look past the eyeshadows, a lot of their staple products really are so good. They make a lot of nice complexion products. I really love their brow products, and their eye products are amazing. The Perversion Mascara is one of my favorites. I love the Lash Freak Mascara. I love their All-Nighter setting powder. The All-Nighter setting spray is of course a staple, but I think the #1 product from Urban Decay that I love the most is their Perversion liquid liner. I've tried a lot of liquid liners, and honestly there are so many good options out there these days, but I always have to have this one in my collection because it's a really dramatic brush tip liner, so it just glides on the eyes super easily every single time. It looks really dark, really dramatic, and then of course this stays in place all day long, whether you have watery eyes, whether you have really oily eyelids. I do typically use a micellar water or a cleansing balm to remove my makeup, and it does come off when I use those, but I just find that it really is such a staple eyeliner for me. So if you love eyeliner and winged eyeliner, I think you'll really enjoy this one. Again, Too Faced is a brand that does tend to get a lot of heat for doing the same color stories when it comes to their eyeshadow palettes over and over, but I do feel like, you know, for Too Faced and Urban Decay, there was a time where people just loved the Naked palettes and the chocolate bar palettes, so I kind of understand why they're still hanging on to those sort of concepts. I will say the Too Faced Natural Nudes palette is really good, and it is more of a neutral palette, but I've enjoyed that one. But again, a lot of the staple products from Too Faced are really nice. I love their Killer liners, which are just their pencil liners. Those stay in place so well. I love their Pillow Balm. That's something I use almost every single day. Their lipsticks are really nice. I know the Born This Way foundation is a staple for a lot of people, but my #1 product from the brand is definitely the Born This Way concealer. I want to say I tried this like back in, when did they launch this? I want to say 2016 or 2018. Honestly, I can't remember. Like that whole time period of makeup just kind of blends together for me. But whenever they launched this product, I tried it pretty soon afterwards, and it's been one of my go-to concealers ever since. I love using this as a foundation as well. It just blends out so beautifully. It has really nice coverage and a really gorgeous, like natural radiant finish, but it stays in place on my oily skin really well. Sometimes when it comes to really glowy or radiant foundations, they just break apart on me, or they look really oily within a few hours. This really is a long-lasting concealer. So of course I love to use it as an actual concealer, but it also looks really nice as a foundation, or sometimes I'll mix it with a really matte foundation just to give it more of like a naturally glowy look. I think that this really is a beautiful formula. It's weird because the Born This Way foundation is not like my go-to formula, but the Born This Way concealer looks so good on the skin. I think the Born This Way foundation is maybe just a little bit too natural to be like one of my favorite products, and I do tend to prefer a little more coverage. But I think this is an amazing option, and you get a ton of product in here for a concealer. One brand that I think does do a really good job when it comes to eyeshadow palettes is Natasha Denona. I actually haven't tried a ton of products from Natasha Denona that aren't eyeshadow palettes or cheek products. I know she has lip products, eye products, but I feel like her palettes really are so good. So I knew that when I was sharing my number one product from the brand that it would be an eyeshadow palette, but I wasn't sure which one because I do love quite a few. But I was able to narrow it down, and my number one product from the brand is the Retro eyeshadow palette. I love everything about this. I love the formula. I love the color story. Every time I use this palette, I feel like my eyeshadow turns out perfectly. Now, I am a big fan of pink and purple eyeshadow. If you don't like pink and purple eyeshadow, this won't be the palette for you. But what I love about this palette is you can do something very soft, very subtle, or you can do something really sultry and dramatic, but it doesn't necessarily feel too colorful. Like some pink and purple palettes have like bright hot pinks or really vibrant purples, and typically when I'm doing a pink or purple look these days, I usually like something a little more toned down. So this really is the perfect color story. I love it so, so much, and I definitely recommend it if you're thinking about one of her palettes. I also love bronze. I almost mentioned that one. I don't think the eyeshadow formula in bronze is quite as good as the formula in the Retro palette. The bronze palette really is like my top palette of all time, but when I'm thinking like the best product from a brand, I definitely have to go with this one because I think this eyeshadow formula is unmatched. It's so, so beautiful. So I don't know, what's your favorite palette from Natasha Denona? There are a lot of great options. I feel like pretty much every palette I've tried from the brand I've loved, with the exception of, what was that one? The Zendo palette. That had some misses in it for me. But overall, I do think her eyeshadow formula really is the best. Another brand that I just love is LYS Beauty. I haven't tried anything from the brand that I haven't liked. Every single product I've tried has been amazing. And it is one of those brands that's a little bit more affordable at Sephora, which I love, but the products really are so good and the quality is amazing. So it was kind of hard for me to choose. The cheek products really are my favorite. I love the bronzer, the blush, the highlighter, but I think the best product from the brand is just their setting powder. I have tried so many setting powders throughout the years. Like I want to say I've tried maybe like 50 different setting powders. That might be a little bit high, but I don't know. I should go back and think about all of the powders that I've tried because I love trying powder. I have oily skin, so I'm always looking for something that mattifies my skin, that makes it look smooth, and it might be one of those boring makeup products to a lot of people, but for me, it's just a lot of fun to try different options. This is such a staple in my collection for both setting my under eye concealer and setting the rest of my face. I did hit pan on this. I already repurchased it because I knew that I would want to have it in my collection once I ran out of it. But I love using this under the eyes because it's very lightweight. So it doesn't feel like you're adding a lot of product under the eyes, but I do find that it sets my concealer really well. And I like using it on the rest of my face because again, it's a very lightweight powder. So when I'm wearing a little bit more of like a glowy foundation or a light foundation and I add like a heavy mattifying powder on top, it feels like it defeats the purpose of a lighter coverage foundation or even a glowy foundation. And I like this because it lightly sets my makeup into place without being too heavy. So ever since KVD Vegan Beauty went through their big rebrand, I've been a little bit more curious to try products from the brand. I feel like some of their recent launches have just been a little more interesting. I know some of the products tend to go viral on TikTok, and sometimes when it comes to those TikTok viral products, they work well, sometimes they don't. I feel like the Good Apple Foundation is an example of a product that went viral that doesn't typically work for like the everyday makeup consumer. That is not one of my favorite products, although I know there are people who really enjoy it, but I have to say I love the Good Apple Concealer, and this is probably my number one product from the brand. I almost mentioned their Dazzle Stick, which also went viral on TikTok, but this isn't actually sold at Sephora anymore. I remember this selling out on Sephora and Ulta's websites, and then they never restocked it. I think you can still get it on the KVD Vegan Beauty website, and this is probably my number one product from the brand. I still wear mine all the time. I have the shade Hail Surge, and it just gives your eyes like a really fun, sparkly look. But this product is sold at Sephora, and I like it pretty much equally. This is the, I think I already said, Good Apple Concealer. I feel like a lot of concealers claim to do what this one does, but this one actually lives up to the claim. So it claims to be like a very lightweight, full coverage concealer that stays in place all day long. And I almost feel like lightweight and full coverage are hard to achieve in the same product. A lot of the times when a product is full coverage, especially like a complexion product like a concealer, it tends to feel a little bit heavier on the skin. But this one has a very light, almost serum-like texture, but it has really good coverage, and it really does stay in place all day long. It's amazing. I love using it under the eyes, but I also love using it as a spot concealer, and it's just such an interesting formula. I've really never had a product live up to like every single claim. Definitely my number one product from the brand, but I had to give the Dazzle Sticks like a honorable mention because I love these too. Makeup by Mario is another brand that just releases high quality products. And again, I don't think I've tried a product from Makeup by Mario that I haven't liked. I feel like every single product I've tried has been really, really good. But the number one product from the brand, in my opinion, of course these are all in my opinion, is the Moisture Glow Plumping Lip Serum. This is such a good formula. I actually ended up ordering another shade. Well, originally I had the shade Apricot Glow, which I lost, so I ordered the shade Mocha Glow shortly afterwards, and then recently I repurchased Apricot Glow and a third one because this really is my favorite lip product. I don't want to say it's my favorite lip product of all time because, you know, there are so many great options, but for day-to-day in the summer, I cannot get enough of this. It looks so pretty on the lips. It gives you like the perfect amount of color, the perfect amount of shine. And again, it has like a little bit of a plumping quality to it, kind of similar to Buxom's lip gloss formula. I love this so, so much. I think it is such a great option, and I'm all about lip products these days, lip products and blushes, and I do feel like it tends to be a little more rare that I find a lip product that I think is worth the money where I want to repurchase multiple shades, especially like one right after another, but this has become an instant favorite of mine. So I had to go with this. This is definitely my number one. Let's talk about Tarte next. So Tarte was a brand that was really popular when I first started filming and watching YouTube videos. And then I feel like there was a time period where people weren't using their products as much, but I feel like lately people have really been enjoying the brand again. And I want to say last year I tried this product. This is the Maracuja Juicy Lip, which again is a product that's been sold out because people have been loving these so much. And I have to say this is my number one product from the brand. I'm not super familiar with a ton of Tarte products these days because I don't actually know how many Tarte products I have in my collection right now. I want to say I have just a few. They've never really been like my number one brand, but they do tend to launch products these days that catch my eye a little bit more. So I used to love the Amazonian Clay blushes. I know a lot of people love the Tarte lip palettes, but I do think that this formula, again, is so good. It's very, very similar to the Makeup by Mario formula, but just a little bit different. I think if I had to choose between the two, I would go with Makeup by Mario. And I think it's because I like the fact that it has like a little bit of like a cooling, plumping feel to it, but I just think they look a little bit nicer on the lips. I also think I like the shades that Makeup by Mario has released better than the shades from Tarte. A lot of the Tarte Maracuja Juicy Lips are very pink toned, and the Makeup by Mario ones have like pinks, but they also have more neutral tones as well as a couple of deeper shades. But I think really they're very, very similar. So if you have one and not the other, I wouldn't say run out and buy a bunch from the other line. But these are so pretty. They're like melted lip glosses. They're like melted, how do I describe them? I feel like I talk about these all the time on my channel and my brain is just not able to articulate what I'm thinking today. They are basically like lip glosses in stick form. They feel like melted lipsticks with sheer color and a glossy payoff. That's how I want to describe them. They're really pretty. They basically look like lip gloss on the lips, but I feel like they stay in place a little bit longer than a regular lip gloss. Let's talk about Patrick Ta. Patrick Ta's makeup line is just beautiful. I feel like the packaging is stunning. Everything Patrick Ta launches, I want to try, and I like so many of the products. I love the lip glosses. I also really like the mascara. There's another product. Oh, the Measure Dimension 2 palette. I almost mentioned that one today because I use that one so much. It's like my top palette of 2022, and I'm definitely curious to try even more from the brand. But I think this is the best product from the brand. This is the Double Take Cream and Powder Blush Duo. So I only have one shade, but there's another shade that I want that has been sold out ever since the last Sephora VIB sale. So if it ever gets restocked, I will end up picking it up. But I Love this. I fell in love with this right away, and I was a little bit skeptical because I did purchase a single Patrick Ta blush last year. It was one of the first products that I tried from the brand, and honestly, I just didn't like the formula. I felt like it was really underwhelming, kind of lackluster, and a lot of people told me to try out these duos, but I was really hesitant to try them just because the single blush didn't work well for me, but this duo is so good. And again, I feel like when it comes to cream products, sometimes I'm a little bit intimidated by them, but I've gotten more into them over the past year. And this is just one of the best cream formulas I've tried. I like this duo because you can use the cream or the powder, or you can layer them together, and they look so pretty on the cheeks, especially layered together. They give your cheeks the most beautiful natural glow. They make your skin look really healthy, but I like this duo because it's a little bit more subtle. There are some really bright, colorful duos as well, which are gorgeous if you do like a brighter blush. So I have to say I'm not typically the biggest fan of Bare Minerals products. I haven't tried a lot that have worked well for me, and honestly, I don't think I'm really like their target demographic. I know a lot of people love their complexion products, but I do tend to prefer a little more complexion or a little more coverage when it comes to my complexion products. I do think their lip products are really nice, but I have to say my number one product from the brand is something that I feel like a lot of people would love, and that would be the Bare Minerals bronzers. So I just tried these fairly recently, I want to say a few months ago, but it looks like I've had them in my collection for a long time because they just look really well loved, and they are. I wear these so much. I think they look so pretty on the skin, and whether I'm doing like really natural makeup, like quick 5-minute makeup, or I have a full face of makeup on, I'll typically reach for these, especially now that it's summertime, because they just give my skin the most beautiful natural glow. I think the colors are perfect, and the actual formula looks so nice. They just look so glowy and so radiant on the skin. I think a lot of people reach for cream blushes to give them that really beautiful glowy look, but you can definitely get a gorgeous glowy look using these powder blushes. I did a video recently sharing my favorite glowy blushes, and I included drugstore options, high-end options, powders, and creams, so I'll link that video below if you want to check it out. But this product has me curious to try more from Bare Minerals because I don't know, I must be missing out. I feel like if they released a bronzer in this formula, it would be such a good formula just for like an everyday glowy bronzer. Maybe they do have something like that. I'll have to go online and check it out, but this is definitely my number one product from Bare Minerals. So I feel like Smashbox used to be a staple for a lot of people. They made so many good products. They did really beautiful collections. Remember the Smashbox Vlada collection? That was so pretty. They also did a collaboration with the Hood Witch, which was like this really pretty crystallized collection. And the Smashbox Primerizer was a favorite. The Smashbox Primer Water was a favorite, but they recently discontinued those. So I don't know. I kind of have to go through and see what the different Smashbox products are right now because I really haven't purchased anything from the brand in such a long time. But there is one product that I recently retried. This has been in like my backup drawer for a long time, and I love it so, so much. This is the Smashbox 24-Hour Photo Finish Shadow Primer. I've loved this for a really long time, but I kind of go back and forth between like this and the Urban Decay Primer Potion and drugstore options, but the reason why I love this one so much is because it just makes your eyelids super smooth. So when you apply eyeshadow on top, it just blends out really easily. And if you deal with any sort of texture on your eyelids and you feel like it's hard to apply eyeshadow, this might be a great option for you just because it creates such a smooth canvas. And I find that if I'm working with eyeshadow that's just a little bit difficult to use in general, this really does make such a difference. So I'm glad that I tried this again recently because I really love it. I think when it comes to eyeshadow primer, you're either someone who likes it or someone who thinks it doesn't make a difference, but a good smooth eyeshadow primer is definitely a staple in my collection. So this has to be my number one product from Smashbox. I would have said the Primer Water or the Primerizer if they didn't discontinue them, but this is probably one that comes very, very close. Cava has a lot of really cute products. I love their little eyeshadow trios. I wanted to try those for such a long time, and I think they are so much fun. They come with like 3 eyeshadows. Some of them are all shimmers, some have mattes and shimmers, and they're just really nice to have if you want like a quick, simple look. They're also really nice to throw in your makeup bag. But I think my number one product from Cava would be the Gloss Shot lip glosses. If you guys haven't tried this lip gloss formula and you love like a really hydrating, super shiny, glossy gloss, this is definitely the formula to try. These honestly feel so luxurious on the lips. They make your lips look so juicy, super shiny, but they feel really hydrating and comfortable. Like they're not sticky at all, and I just love them. They all have a little bit of a sheer finish to them. I think they have 4 shades, and there is a clear and then varying shades of pink. I wish they would release more shades because this really is one of the best lip gloss formulas I've tried, and I think it's around like the $15 price tag, so definitely less expensive than a lot of glosses at Sephora, and a really, really underrated formula in my opinion. It's so nice. I think the reason they're not necessarily as talked about is because they don't have a ton of shades, so if you're looking for like nudes or you want reds or colorful shades, they don't have them, unfortunately, but they do have a good clear, and if you like pinky shades, then I think these are really nice. I feel like when it comes to Melt Cosmetics, a lot of people would say their best products are their eyeshadow palettes, but I don't know. I feel like their eyeshadow palette quality has been all over the place over the last few years. Sometimes they'll launch a palette and it will get really bad reviews. Sometimes they'll launch a palette and it will get amazing reviews. And then sometimes people get like a good version of it and sometimes people get a bad version of it. So I don't know. I haven't purchased an eyeshadow palette from them in a really long time. But all of that being said, I feel like there is one product that I would recommend over their palettes in general. And it is something that I talk about a lot on my channel, but I love their Digital Dust Duo Blushes. This formula is so soft, so pretty on the skin. It melts into the skin in a really natural way, but gives you like this gorgeous luminosity. Like it almost has not like a pearlized finish, but I feel like it gives you like a glass skin finish. You know how skincare is described as like glass skin looking? That's what I feel like these look like on the skin, but in a makeup product. You can use them as blushes. You can also use them as highlighters. I cannot get enough of them. The third one is on my list as well, just because I love them so much. My go-to duo is Raw Honey. I wear this one all the time. I feel like I should have worn it today because typically when I do a cooler toned eyeshadow look, I'll reach for this. But I think the quality of this product is really next level. It's so, so good. They're a little bit more expensive, but worth every penny in my opinion. So when it comes to Huda Beauty, I feel like the main products I've tried are eyeshadow palettes. I know there are a ton of other products, and I feel like maybe throughout the years I've tried different products. I have tried the Glowish Bronzer and the Glowish Blush, which unfortunately didn't work for me. I do really like the foundation stick. That's been a nice option for like easy, quick go-to makeup. But I do think her eyeshadow palettes as a whole tend to be my favorite products and just the best products from the brand that I've tried. So I had a hard time narrowing it down because I really love the Mercury Retrograde palette, but I think my number one product from the brand is the Naughty Nude palette. I just love this color story so, so much because it has everything you need for like an easy neutral eyeshadow look, but it also has some berry tones as well. And I feel like you can get the most gorgeous, like soft, sultry eyeshadow look out of this palette. The shimmers are so beautiful. Every single time I layer one of the shimmers all over the lid, I just fall in love with it over and over again. And the matte shadows are really blendable, super easy to work with. So if you are a fan of neutral eyeshadows and you're looking for a palette that can kind of do it all from like a soft everyday look to something a little bit more smoky and intense, this is such a great option, especially if you do tend to prefer more of a berry toned neutral look overall. Because sometimes when I use this, I feel like it pulls very berry on the eye. Like the other day, I was editing a video that I had filmed a few weeks ago. I think it just went up on my channel. It was about products that I changed my mind about, and I couldn't remember which products I was wearing to share in the description box. So I wrote like Natasha Denona Retro Palette, question mark, or Patrick Ta Major Dimension 2, question mark. And then in the video, I actually said I was wearing this palette, and I was so thrown off because it was a very purple toned look. I do feel like it's a palette that you can get a really nice range of looks from, which is always nice to have, especially when it comes to a neutral palette. So that's my number one. It Cosmetics does make a lot of products I really enjoy. I almost said their brushes because their brushes really are so good. I also like a lot of their skincare products, and the Superhero Mascara is one of my all-time favorites. But I think my number one product, or just the best product from the brand that I've tried, is the Bye Bye Under Eye Full Coverage Concealer. I think this can work for a variety of people. It does work really nicely as an under eye concealer, especially if you have really dark circles, because the coverage is amazing. And a little bit goes such a long way. I think when you blend it out with a beauty sponge, it can look really natural. But again, still have really good coverage and stay in place really well. But I also love using this product as a spot concealer. I do have breakout prone skin, and sometimes when my skin breaks out, it leaves a scar behind. So something like this is perfect because I will spot conceal before I go in with foundation, and then I feel like I don't have to use as much foundation. But again, what's nice about this is the coverage is really good, and a little bit goes a long way, and it stays in place all day long. I tried this years ago and I really didn't like it. I felt like it was just too heavy, too cakey, but the key with this product is less is more. A tiny little bit, like a dot of this product, is going to really spread out and cover a large area on your face. So don't go in with a lot of it. If you have this and it hasn't worked for you, try a really small amount and try blending it in with a beauty sponge, because I feel like a damp beauty sponge will just help to distribute it really evenly and kind of cut down on some of that cakiness. So it really is such a nice product, but I feel like it probably won't be for everyone. You have to have something that you need to cover, like really dark under eye circles or scarring or hyperpigmentation. If that's something you want to cover, then this is a product that will work really well for you and it will stay in place all day long. But if you're looking for something light coverage, skip over this. The last brand that I wanted to talk about in today's video is Fenty, and this was an easy one for me because I love the Fenty gloss bombs so much. Fenty has a lot of great products, but I feel like their gloss bomb formula just became an instant favorite when they first launched it. And now they have a couple of different options. They have the original gloss bombs, they have gloss bomb creams, and gloss bomb heats. And I kind of go back and forth as to whether the original Fenty glosses are my favorite or the gloss bomb heats. I think it's the gloss bomb heat. I know I said earlier that I wasn't sure if Buxom made my favorite formula or Fenty, and it is kind of a toss-up, but I just love the gloss bombs because they're so glossy, they're so shiny. The gloss bomb heats are plumping glosses, but they almost have like a warmer plumping feeling, whereas the Buxom products have a cooling plumping feeling. But I just think these look so pretty on the lips. They definitely visibly plump my lips, and because they're so glossy and so shiny, they just make your lips look really smooth, really, really glass-like. They have really pretty colors that I tend to reach for a lot, and I think maybe that's why I like them a little bit better than Buxom. I feel like their shade selection are shades that I tend to wear a little bit more than the shades that Buxom offers. Okay guys, that is everything I wanted to share with you in today's video. Thank you so much for watching. I really appreciate it. I had a lot of fun filming this video. If you guys want to check out my drugstore version of this video, I'll link it for you on the screen right now. But if you film YouTube videos, I would love to see you film this. I think it's just such a fun video concept. So thanks again for watching. I really appreciate it. I'll see you guys very soon with a new one. Bye.